Hello everybody, how y'all doing? Hope you're doing well. I know I have a baby attached to my chest here. I know she is definitely loving on her mommy this morning. Oh, I know, she's so pretty. And of course, I have the best view. Her pretty face. Her cute pretty face. Oh, yeah, I'm talking. So, yeah, can I give you a kiss? Oh no, no, mommy, you can't give me a kiss. I can't give you a kiss. Can't do it anyway. I know. I think it's funny how she does that. She's just like, no, 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 mom. So anyway, hi, how are yous? How yous doing? Hope you're doing well. So, yeah. She's like, no, mom, I don't want a kiss. I just want to lay here and get weapons. I just want to lay here and get weapons. And yes, she is this soft too. I know she looks like she's really soft. She is. She's very, very soft, like silk. Yes, you're as soft as silk. She's like, okay, I'm done. Too funny. I know. So, anywho, thought I'd get some updates. I know I haven't been really doing much in the way of updates. I mean, what am I going to talk about? Oh, I'm doing great today. I'm going to pop up here every single day and say, oh, I'm doing great today. Okay, whatever. Here, let's sit up. Oh, I almost got your tail there. We don't want to do that. All right. So, hi. How is everybody? Oh, and there's her pretty face. Yeah. Oops, there we go. There she is. Of course, this is the best update. Yeah. Oh, mommy. Just love me, love me, love me. I know, she's silly. All right, so anyway, let's do this quick update. Okay, so I've been doing good for the most part, okay. Just mostly been what I've been doing is, I've been keeping up with my supplements. Yeah, I'm still able to do this, which is good. That felt really good, actually. But what I really wanted to update you on is what has happened the last couple of days with the storms that we've had. Okay, we had one come in this year. This is Friday as of this recording. We had a storm come in Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Snowed. It started snowing early on in the day, and then it intensified a bit later on. I did go out to work. Did not last very long, primarily because of the way the roads were. The roads were awful. I mean, the plows were out, and they were cleaning up and putting down salt and so forth, but the roads were the best way I could think to describe it is they were basically a ooey gooey gloppy mess, and it made the road conditions like a sheet of ice because of it. There were accidents everywhere. People slid down into the embankments, into ditches, this and that. Within a mile of this one stretch of road that is, I think it's Minnesota Highway. I'm not too sure, but anyway, it's a 65/Central Avenue. okay? Goes through Blaine, cuts down, I think through Coon Rapids. I'm not too sure. I've never really looked at it, but anyway, it's a pretty good stretch of road, and it takes you all the way north up into Ham Lake. You can access Ham Lake, what is that? Elk River, and anyway, Andover, so on and so forth. I have no idea how far north it goes, but anyway, it's basically an internal highway. As you get out of town, it turns into 65, 65 miles per hour speed limit, so on and so forth. So it's a nice stretch of road. It's well maintained, and so on and so forth. And there is a Walmart out there, and I had picked up at that Walmart a couple of orders. And I was heading south, and within 1 mile of that stretch of road, I saw 3 accidents where multiple cars, were either slamming into each other or going down into the embankments or what have you. 3 of them within 1 mile. I was just like, oh, great. And I could, at one point, with continuing going down south, it was like not very well lit, okay? And unfortunately, the snow started coming down really good, almost to a point where it was almost like a whiteout. And it made it very difficult trying to be able to see. Myself, I had almost, I was doing a lot of swishing around and so forth, and almost went off the road a couple times myself. Almost was in several accidents, so on and so forth. Dropped off the first order. The second one, I had to hop on one of the freeways, like you have around here, I guess the main freeway. You know how in internal cities, you'll have like the main freeway, and then if the city, or excuse me, the internal freeway will turn into 3 digits. Okay, we have like 3 of those. This one was the 694 eastbound. I had to hop up on there. Speed limit for that, I believe, normally is like 60, 65, something like that. I was doing 30, and I was still swishing, and everybody around me was also doing about the same speed limit, and we were all swishing like you wouldn't believe. People were going down into the embankments and so on and so forth. I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. I had gone offline basically earlier when I had been on that stretch of 65. I had made my decision at that point. I'm done. I'm going to, drop off these 2 orders, and I'm going home. This isn't worth my life. I realize I'm behind on the car payment and everything, but no, I don't give a fuck. They can have the fucking car. And it's a car rental, so it's like, yeah. But, and then I had pulled into the neighborhood that I had to drop off that first order. I almost forgot about that. And there was a house fire. Right. Adding insult to injury here. And I was like, no, I'm going home. But yeah, I dropped off that second order. I did wind up on the 35. That's on the main freeway that goes north and south. That goes from Canada all the way down to Mexico, I believe. And I wound up on the 35. It was a little bit better, but it was still ooey gooey gloppy mess. I was able to at least do 40-45 on that, but I was like, no, I'm going home. But the big thing throughout all of that is my pain factor, as far as all this mess is concerned. Did a lot better. Little bit of flaring up here and there. It was more like pings, like little reminders. Hey, I'm still here. Like, yeah, okay, I got it. And ping, 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 ping. It's like, okay. So yeah, I was feeling that a little bit, and a little bit here in my throat where I've been having the issues, also. And I would say it was that, and I also have been able to confirm now that my flare-ups within my sinuses isn't because of allergies. It's because of the inflammation, the effects from the storms. So that was an awesome thing. And but yeah, that was flaring up a little bit, and then this was flaring up a little bit, and it was like, okay, doing great, no problems. Then yesterday I was um, getting ready to go out, and I made my last trip upstairs, partly to say goodbye to her, and also to grab my coats. Usually what I do is I will, before I leave, I'll grab my lunch bag and my water container, take them downstairs, fill up my water container the rest of the way from any ice that has melted down. I'll go ahead and top it off with some water, and then get my lunch bag ready with my insulin and a little snacky, things like that. And then I'll leave them downstairs, come back upstairs, grab the rest of my stuff, say goodbye to her, and go ahead and go. Use the bathroom one last time, all that sort of good stuff, and then head out. Well, I came back upstairs to grab the rest of my stuff. I was okay, and said goodbye to her. I went to grab my stuff, and all of a sudden, phew, right in here, same spot as always, right in through here and down in through here a little bit, but really up and through here, and I could still feel it right to here, and just really, and unfortunately, it was shooting straight into my breast. I was just like, ouch. So I had double whammy there, and I'm like, okay, and I went ahead, I took my stuff downstairs. I was going to see about using the bathroom. Forget it. It was just flaring up, and just shooting pain. And I was just like, okay, let me just sit a minute, wondering. I didn't look at the radar yet. And I was just like, well, maybe it's just leftovers from the night before, especially with trying to, keep control of the car, with all of the road conditions the way they were, so on and so forth. I had all this stuff going through my head. And I was just like, why, why is this flaring up and everything? I had been sitting there for probably a good 30 minutes or something before I'm like, you know what, let me check the weather. So I looked at the radar, even though Rick had also told me, well, there's nothing in the area. Not remembering. Rick is one of my friends I'm staying with, and of course he can never remember that I can feel storms 1,000 miles away, at least 1,000 miles away. That's how far they can be, and I can still feel their effects with the pressure. And I was getting worse and worse with it. And lo and behold, sure enough, there were storms to our south and also to our north. And the ones to our south are heading right for us. And I was like, see? And I showed my phone to him, see? There are storms. And he's like, that's about 200 miles away. And I'm like, hello? Well, I didn't realize it until just before jumping up on here to talk, that I looked at the radar, and those storms that I saw both to the north and to the south were part of that low pressure system that they were talking about on the weather yesterday, that was supposed to be giving the Northeast a run for its money, basically some really bad conditions up there. So I apologize for I'm still waking up this morning, so my apologies. So yeah, that's the reason why I had all the pain. Really didn't end. Even with waking up overnight, I fell asleep at one point, and I wound up having to take some ibuprofen to help with me sleeping a little bit better. I did have to get up, of course, to take my nighttime insulins and so on and so forth. But yeah, that explained a lot of things. Another issue, too, that I've talked about before in my videos is my hands. This, of course, the stiffness in my hands. Of course, that makes a lot of sense, the joint pain, but um, with like arthritis or what have you, but the swelling, because I swelled up like balloons also in my hands at the same time, still a little bit stiff. And when I had woken up overnight, I hadn't taken any of my jewelry off or anything, and it was a little bit difficult trying to get my rings off. Thank goodness I've lost a little bit of weight, because the one ring was a little difficult. The other two not so bad, but the one was a little difficult to try and get off. So yeah, good thing I lost a little bit of weight, so the swelling wasn't as bad as what they could have been. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. But it's been good for me to see it. It's good to know that, okay, I am still being affected worse with low pressure systems. But the good thing about going through all this, even though I was in pain, and it was the sharp stabbing pain, and yes, it did wind up shooting straight down into my arm, caused a little bit of tingling in my wrist and my hand, um, and I was feeling the stiffness in my arm, but and so yeah, I did not go out to work last night because I did not want to risk it, just from the safety factor. The way I'm looking at it is, if they want the car, fine, so be it. But the big thing with is, for those of you who don't know, I've been dealing with long COVID for the last 3 years, and I've been seeing, I've been going to Mayo for the last few months, and they recommended this long list of medications, supplements, things like that, and I decided to just go down the route of supplements. And these three in particular, or excuse me, four in particular. I say three because the two are actually, you have to take them in combination. So it's actually four, but I kind of think of them as three. So, but anyway, yeah, I've been taking those every day, twice a day, and it's good to know, having these storms come in, and it's been nice not having storms in the area, so it gave my body opportunity to heal, and now that it's in a pretty good, it's in a pretty good situation, condition and so forth, and it's like, okay, now let's put it all to the test, and that's what this has been with these storms that have gone through, and my head has been a lot better. Still a little bit of issues, but my head has been a lot better. I have been able to think clearer. I have been sleeping better, and I'm not nearly dealing with near as much chronic fatigue as what I have been. And it helps too that I have been limiting myself with being out on the road, just being out there, like somewhere between 6-7 hours. And I will admit I have pushed it to 7.5, and it was pushing it. So if I limit myself, to around 7 hours, 6-7 hours, something like that, I'm doing okay. But even with having the storms go through, I was really keeping an eye on my brain to see what would happen, with the brain fog and the chronic fatigue. I did all right. So it's like, okay, it was just mostly that sharp stabbing pain. And also another thing that I was very proud of is the fact that I wasn't being choked to death by my own body like I had been before. So that was awesome. I love that. So and yesterday, especially with this, the way that low pressure system was, so that was an intense low pressure system that was going through, even though we were on the western edge of it, it was still pretty intense. And it's good to see that how much my body has made improvements. I would have been in a much, much worse situation, much, much worse conditions if I wasn't taking those supplements and hadn't gone through healing process. So, yeah, we're doing good. They just have to continue down the road and everything. As far as, the financial situation, work situation is concerned, I've made my decision of walking away with doing the deliveries. And I've been working on my portfolio. Excuse me, I used to be a graphic designer at one point in my life. And I've gotten the computer, their CPU that they let their one son use. He has autism, okay? But I got that all cleaned up, straightened around, and so on and so forth. And I haven't been getting and set up child safety controls and or basically parental controls and so on and so forth. At first I was of course getting a lot of notifications, requests, oh, I want to go to this website, oh, I want to go to that website or whatever. And a lot of it was because of pop-ups coming up on the computer. And of course they're popping up, oh, what is this? Click, and then next thing you know, it's viruses. For those of you who didn't see the previous video, I wound up clearing out 272 viruses, malware, Trojan horses. Yeah, 272 of them. Not good. But I got it straightened around, cleaned up, and so on and so forth. And I've been working on my portfolio. I've completed, well, there's one logo still I want to go and make some changes to. And I want to try something. But I basically have gotten 4 logos done in the past week. That's including my own personal logo. Still kind of back and forth with it. There's still something that's bugging me with it, but it's good enough as far as I'm concerned. Move on. So it's part of being a professional designer is knowing when to walk away and just go. So just leave it alone. Maybe something will hit me or whatever, but I showed it to both of them to make sure that the message that I was trying to convey was coming through, and it is. So, and then because they both said the same thing, and they're both 2 completely different personalities. One, Angie, she is more on the creative side. She's actually a nurse by profession, but she does a lot of creative work with doing sewing and so forth. So, but Rick really doesn't have much of a creative bone in his body. Rick is Angie's husband. Angie and I have been friends for over 30 years, so Rick and I, we've just only recently in the past year become friends. But yeah, they both basically said the same thing, and I was just like, I told them, I want both positive and negative feedback on this, and I wanted it from and one of the reasons why I went to him is because he has been in managerial roles. He is an assistant manager right now, so that's one of the reasons why I went to him. And Angie, I went to her because of that creative background. So I wanted to kind of get those sorts of perspectives and everything. And they both, the very first words out of both of their mouths was the same thing, which is what I was looking for. And it was like, okay, yeah, because I was just, the reason why I was saying, because I was seeing something with the logo, and I was just like, oh, crud, I wonder if somebody else is going to see that as well. They did see it, but the first thing that they saw was what I was trying to have come out first. So I was like, all right, awesome. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, so I've been working on all that, and like I said, working on my portfolio. But at least I have down now my logo, and I can see about building a website and so forth after I have everything said and done. So yeah, we'll go from there. But I am in the process of doing that. I'll have to retype up my resume. I have a copy of it, and what I'm working on is having a portfolio that shows, that I am somebody that is worth the amount of money that I'm looking for, basically. Not somebody who's basically junior grade, but senior grade. So, really pushing myself compared to what I have been with as far as work is concerned, sort of work that I've done in the past, pushing myself really good to really challenge myself, not just for job purposes, but really challenge myself, show myself that I can still do this, and not only still do this, but do even more than what I did before. So, but yeah, and it's been fun. I have really been enjoying myself. I haven't been on a computer in about 2 years. Unfortunately, my computer that I had before crashed. Couldn't get it going again. Tried different things. Wound up just chucking it. I didn't have opportunity to find, someplace to donate it or anything like that. I just basically had to chuck it. Killed me. That was a good computer still. But oh well, it is what it is. So anyway, and I have my feelings. I know what happened there, and oh well. The way I look at it is, people are going to be the way they are, and yeah, it is just the way it is. It's the way I look at it. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. And like I said, I've been really enjoying it. If anything, doing this has also been helping to clear up my head quite a bit too, which has been good. I've needed it. And so yeah, like I said, I'm going to go for some jobs. I don't know where. I don't know where I'm going to possibly wind up. If I'm going to wind up staying here, or if I'm going to wind up someplace else. I know I've talked about I've wanted to go back home to Vegas. Vegas will always be in my heart as my home. But I also know and recognize the fact that it's not always necessarily feasible there as far as work is concerned. and especially with being a graphic designer. I know you'd think that there was be tons of it, especially with casinos, this, that, and every other thing, but there really isn't. And the pay sucks, unfortunately. So I may or may not wind up back there. I don't know. At some point, I will go back. At least for a visit. But as far as to go back to stay, I don't know if it will happen or not. So, we'll see. So, but the way I look at it is this would give me an opportunity to go and explore other places. So, that's kind of the way that I look at it. So we'll see. See what happens. I'm excited about it. I really am. I very much would like to stay here for a while longer. Not necessarily here with my friends, but I'll get my own place here. I really don't mind it because I would, and for one thing, it'll give me some stability for a while. Get back out on my own while doing work that I actually enjoy doing, and buy myself a car, all that sort of good stuff. And I very much would like to be able to go up and see Lake Superior in winter. I very much would like to see that. I'd like to see Superior during the summer, but most especially during the winter, especially around the time of my birthday. For those of you who don't know, my birthday is November 11th. Day before is the anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Happened the day before I turned 1. So I would like to see Superior at that time. I'd love to go over to see the Upper P there in Michigan. I'm originally from Michigan, born and spent my first years there. I'd like to be able to go back to my old stomping grounds. I haven't been there in about 40 years. So, well, actually I take that back. It was 20 years ago. I forgot it when I was up there for my uncle's funeral. And I'd like to go there and see those old stomping grounds and so forth on my own terms. Maybe head back to there for to Saugatuck for the Venetian Festival. And I'd love to go and check out Mackinac Island. Last time I was there, I was a baby, so I have absolutely no memories of it. I know. So, but yeah, I'd like to go and see, do some exploring, see some things. Maybe go over to Wisconsin. My grandmother and grandfather are buried there. I'd like to go and see them, pay my respects, go to Chicago, check out things in Chicago. My mom was born and raised in Chicago. I'd very much like to be able to go and check all that out. Maybe get a copy of her birth certificate again. Maybe check out, see where she was born, spent her first years, spent a lot of her life, so on and so forth. So, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot around here that I very much would like to go and explore, while at the same time working a job that I can enjoy. That would be nice, Maybe taking some sights around here as well. That would be nice. So, one thing I was going to tell you is too, I almost forgot. I have been, my diet, not only have I been on the supplements, but I've also been, on an anti-inflammatory diet, and part of that has been cutting out milk products, and I have found, I had no idea they were in existence. I guess I did do a little bit of research. They came out in March 2023, months before I became a diabetic. And Hershey has come out with a couple of plant-based chocolates. Okay? This one is chocolate chocolate with almonds and sea salt. And it's basically Hershey with almonds. And they also have, I think I have one in here still. I don't have the bag. No, I do have the bag. But anyway, ta-da! Reese cups also. Instead of using milk, they use oats. So, might have a little bit of a burnt chocolate flavoring to it, but personally, I'm used to it, so it's no big deal for me. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of a heads up in case you decide to look for them. The only place I've been able to find them so far is Walmart. So, check there. Who knows, maybe your local grocers, especially maybe try the sugar-free candy section or something. I don't know. I found in the Walmart that I'm finding these, which is right up the road here. They're right there in with the Reese's section. You know, all the different kinds of Reese cups. You know, the snack packs, the minis. You know, so on and so forth. Right there, and I'm talking the bags of candy. I do believe they have the bigger bars also, where they sell the big bars, you know, like the big bars of Symphony and so forth. I did see a big bar of that, at least with the Reese cup. But yeah, you can check out the bags of candy for these. And this one was right next to the bag of Reese cups. Yeah, somebody's looking. She's like, ooh, can I have some chocolate? No. I'm actually going to be running down to Walmart to get me some more of those. So those are great because those, you know, like especially with being a diabetic and being on this diet and so forth, and then doing the shopping orders I do for people. Sometimes I wind up running into issues with low sugars, and with those, you know, I can just take them, throw them in my pocketbook, and I'm good to go in case I have any issues. And I don't have to worry about getting candy while I'm out, especially if it's something that's is not readily available for me or something. So, and I don't have to worry about those issues, you know, with taking in milk products. So, and I have noticed that when I do have the other, a bit of an upset stomach. So, that definitely comes in handy. And I don't think they're bad. So, hey. And they've been household approved so far too. So I've let Angie, Rick, and their daughter have them. Their son, he's a bit of a picky eater, you know, and I think a lot of that is the autism. But yeah, some things have a tendency to upset his stomach a little bit. And he is actually having a little bit of an issue here recently with his tummy issues. But yeah, he has a very, very limited diet. And I mean very limited. There's only about 3 foods he'll eat. Yeah, that's about it. So that's why I haven't given him any of that. So he may, I mean, we try and encourage him to try different things. He just won't do it. So, and I understand. I get it. So we don't push the issue. Just encourage a little bit. So, anywho, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. And as soon as I get I do have an intention of going back up there on the blog, on the computer, and reworking things. You know, maybe do some different things, so on and so forth. Just right now, I'm focused on getting my portfolio done. Hi. and everything. So, and not just that, but I'd also like to get back into doing some nature photography, you know, and also do freelancing, at least, you know, selling stock items, you know, like templates and so forth. I'm not entirely too sure if I'm wanting to do freelance work with clients or not, but, you know, obviously if an opportunity arises, I'll consider it. We'll put it that way. I'll have a sit down or whatever, and we can talk and find out if it's something that I'd be interested in pursuing. Hi. Mommy. Ow! She has a very bad habit of stepping on my breasts. She loves stepping on my breasts, as if they're not tiny enough. I got my kissies. Got my kissies in. All right. All right, guys. And I see what time it is and everything. So now I gotta run down to the store and do some cooking today. So, anywho, I love you guys. And I will talk at you soon.